Well, Season 14 is finally here, along with about 10 times better of a cinematic than what we got last year. It's also got way more interesting changes than we've gotten, at least within the last couple of years. So, I'd like to welcome you all to an Irish preview of Season 14.
That's disgusting.
That's the test.
Oh my god.
He's dead.
Yummy! My boy's in that car!
Starting with the most obvious thing, the map has gotten itself a makeover. Probably the biggest one since Season 10, which just gave us alcoves and the dragon rifts. This time we've got actual changes. Walls were knocked, walls were made, bushes were moved in such a way there's got to be at least one angry Rengar player, and also Baron saw what Dragon was doing and decided, you know what, I'll join in on that there. Infernal Dragon also decided it wanted to give instead of take away, and it no longer destroys the rift, and instead gives everyone a reason to have weird pathing to collect little guys instead of just bard players. I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure how useful they are, but they speed you up a little bit and give ability haste, so sure look, there's no harm in collecting a few. Overall, while it's taken a bit of getting used to, I am enjoying the new map. It certainly does help make things a lot less stale, which has been a real problem League has had since about Season 11. Both Season 12 and 13 were pretty meh in terms of new things that they brought to the table. I mean, sure, some item changes, things changed up a little bit in the jungle, but like, it was just in terms of new content. But Season 14 is looking fresh, which I will say I'm very, very happy about. But I will also say, the lack of a preseason was, how do you say it again? It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, dumb. Leaving it exclusively to PvE, which is known for bugs, lack of commitment from the players who when they actually test stuff on it, and also being on West Coast NA, the worst server out of any location in the world to try and get players to connect to if they are not also from West Coast NA. If you could be from East Coast NA, you're on 100 ping. You could be like me trying to play from Ireland, I'm on like 180 ping, but even then it feels like I'm more on 250. It's just terrible. I really wish, like next season, I'm hoping at least next season, that we get an actual preseason kind of in around the November, December time, because to begin with, the lack of preseason was very dumb. But along with that, just not having a preseason or anything like that at all gave no one any reason to really touch the game from November to December, because we knew big changes were coming. No one really wanted to commit to their ranked climb and blah blah blah. It was a big mess. I just hope we get preseason next year. Now, we still have the pets, and I can't lie, I do still hate these things. Sure, being able to clear raptors on my first clear as Warwick is nice, but the pets have all gotten nerfed to the point where it doesn't really matter which one you take that game, because their effects, along with the nerf to smite from a while ago, are so negligible. But anyway, we're here to talk changes, so let's start with the elephant in the room, the fake void event. Starting at top side, we've got void grubs, who are the grossest things I've ever seen, but incredibly useful. Lads, I swear, go for these every game. They're not noob traps, don't listen to the Twitter people, listen to Chase Shaco, even though he's a Shaco player. They're pretty good for gold, easy to take, grant you a permanent buff that gives you true damage dot versus towers. Up to 6 can spawn per game, with the 5th stack spawning a little void grub when you hit towers, and the 6th spawning 2 void grubs, along with an increase in the true damage per stack. I love these things so much, they genuinely make pushes go so smoothly. Along with that, Shelly now only spawns at 14 minutes, takes a fair bit longer to kill, and also has a built-in Scion ult. So if it's ever been your dream to ride Shelly, well, I've got great news for you. Now, I mentioned Baron earlier as well, but there's a lot more to it than just that. Now obviously the changes don't just end at some stuff I've already listed, because it's a new season. Naturally, Chunkle has gotten itself a makeover again, so let's go take a look at that. Now, we've got 3 different Baron rifts, which also give Baron some new attacks, which I, for one, am very happy about, because for the last couple of years, Baron has just been way too easy to take. Like, you've had people straight up soloing it when it spawns, but we had a Mumu doing it, we had Diana doing it. If you ignore those, you can just have people taking it on spawn, or taking it a couple minutes after spawn with just the 2 of them, and they can just solo it down and take it easily with nearly 0 repercussions so long as the enemy doesn't go in on them. It's just really dumb. I'm very happy that they're after, going ahead, buffing up the Baron, making it so that it actually matters if you try to take it, because it's definitely a lot harder to take now. But along with all the Void changes that we've been seeing, we've also got some new Void designs for some of our good old friends, Red Buff, Blue Buff, and Scuttle. Starting with Scuttle, after Baron spawns, Scuttle is going to be changed to act like an AoE Chemtech Scryer's Bloom. When you kill it, it'll explode out, revealing any wards and anyone else in the area. I like this change. It's really nice when you're trying to set up for objectives and just get that early bit of vision. You don't actually have to commit any of your pink wards or any of your scanners to certain places, because you can already use this to begin with to set off anything. Along with that, if we take a look over at the red buff and the blue buff, well, after Baron spawns, these are now pretty much full-blown objectives because they give your entire team the red or blue buff globally. Doesn't matter where they are, so long as they're alive, they will receive it. So honestly, at certain times, it'll actually be better for you to maybe wait a minute for Baron to spawn so that you kill your blue and your mid laner can also end up getting it along with the other people on your team. Once again, I do like these changes, and I feel like depending on your reload, it's going to matter quite a lot, or no one's even going to notice it for at least another month. I think in stuff like pro play, you're going to see this going around and people are going to be absolutely going mad over it. There's going to be like full-blown team fights happening over a goddamn blue buff. But in my elo, in my like questionable draft pick games that have a mix of masters, irons, and gold players who think they're a challenger, I don't think we're going to be taking it too seriously down here. But now, for the things that has everyone screaming, the new items. To start off, thank you Riot for removing mythic items which have just fucked up the game and fucked up item builds for about the last 3 years. I will say I am going to be biased towards these items anyway because they finally brought back old Tiamat, so as a Warwick player I'm absolutely thriving. Now I don't want to waste people's time, so I'm not going over every item, just the, how do you put it again? Dumb ones. So, for Bruisers, we've got a new item called Sundered Sky, and look, do I need to explain? I've played against Riven who built this and the new Spear of Shojin, and I was just in pure pain. A crit Riven empowered auto attack hurts. As for tanks, there's only 2 items I want to mention. The first one being a worse Dead Man's Plate, Trailblazer, and an item I can only describe as Mundo Central, Unending Despair. Deals damage to enemies around you based on your HP and heals for 250% the same amount. With enough enemies around you, this thing can honestly go crazy. There's also Kainic Rookarn? I think that's how you say it. This item is honestly broken. You can get like a 1k AP shield just for existing. You know what, to be fair, it is needed, and you'll understand why in a moment. For assassins and honestly certain ADCs, the only thing that matters for you is hubris or just AD Magi's. Every time you kill a champ, you get a statue. When a champ you've damaged within the last 3 seconds dies, you gain 10 AD plus 1 extra for each statue for 60 seconds. Now this has the potential to be insane since you don't lose statues at all, but you need to already be snowballing, and if you're at the point where you have 20 statues, you're probably already ahead enough to win that game. Supports have gotten a load of new support items, which are actual items instead of just stats, which as someone who doesn't really play support that much, I actually think this is pretty cool. There's about 5 of them, but they can be boiled down into the carry support items, the tank support items, and the enchanter item, or the good one. For our supports, we have Zax's Realm Spike for AP, doing 50 plus 3% of the enemy's max HP as explosion damage after hitting them with an ability. Blood Song is basically just AD Even Shroud, increasing damage a character takes after you land a spell by proccing them. Now if I was playing a carry support, I definitely enjoy these, but I do think these numbers are a little bit high, but we'll have to see how these things play out. Celestial Opposition is Aftershock without the CC proc needed, and Solstice Slay will probably be built by the most annoying creatures in the world, Ashe support players, since it heals and gives move speeds when you slow or stun an enemy. And finally, Dreammaker is probably the most broken one, let's be real. You generate blue and purple bubbles, which get blown onto whoever you shield or heal, reducing the next bit of damage they take by a flat 140, and increasing their next bit of damage to deal 90 bonus magic damage. Overall, I do like this idea for support items, but because of how cheap a load of items have become, supports can get to full build really quickly, and having an actual item to begin with actually makes this incredibly noticeable. But again, we'll have to see how it goes, so I'm just gonna hope that Riot won't be idiots with this one. And finally, mages. This class has been plagued by poor items for years because of how AP functions as a stat. If you're an AD champ, you've got options. Raw AD, attack speed, on hit, crit, lethality, all of these variations that will help you in some way no matter what. But AP champs? AP is all they care about. Why do you think items like Rabadons exist? Raw AP is all they need. Which also means countless mages had the exact same build path last season. It would be Ludens into Shadowflame and then probably Azonias. But now, sweet jeez, if Season 11 was Tank, Bruiser, and ADC season, then I would say this is AP season, because these new items are just insane. We've got 4 new items and 2 with significant enough changes, so first let's start with the old. Zonia's now gives 120 AP and 50 armor. that's pretty much all that's changed with it. There's no stopwatch anymore, but we'll live without it, honestly. Shadow Flame, instead of granting scaling magic pen based on shields and level and all that was honestly very negligible, now we have critical magic and true damage when enemies are below 35% HP. It's effectively just AP collector. But these two are tame compared to the next three. Starting with Storm Surge, this shit is fucking dumb. If you deal 35% of the enemy's HP in 2.5 seconds, something pretty much every AP character can do, you proc Squall. What is Squall, you ask? Oh, just the power of Thor. Champs affected with Squall have lightning called down on them after 2 seconds, dealing a good chunk of damage, which also crits if you have Shadow Flame, but if the target dies before they get struck, it instead explodes in all of the damage in an AoE. Next up, Luden's Companion is basically Luden's if it was made in America instead of Summoner's Rift. If it can't do the typical Luden's AoE bounce things on enemies, it will instead make all of those repeat on the same target. Now this isn't too egregious, but it can lead to some massive single target damage. Now for our third item, we've got this thing called Crypt Bloom. Honestly, this thing's like mid as hell. I don't know really who's going to be building this. After killing a champ, it creates a healing nova. Seems like it'd be better suited as a support item. Maybe it's intended for stuff like Brand or Zyra, but I don't think it's that useful personally. Finally, Malignance gives me a new reason to hate Teemo. Damaging a champion with your ult causes the ground under them to burn, reducing their magic resist and doing damage, along with giving you ultimate ability haste. While there's no Storm Surge, this thing drove me absolutely mental. AP mage items this season are going crazy, and by far Storm Surge is the most broken one, so I'm hoping it gets nerfed soon, but we'll have to see.
And that's Season 14. Why do you ask that I wasn't floating around in the middle of the void during the item segment? I've got like 3 other videos that I need to record at the moment. But anyway, while I love the map and jungle changes, I do think they freshen up the game quite a bit, which we really have needed, like I've already said. Some of these new items are they're just dumb. They're just stupid. Like I've been seeing mages. I've been seeing like Fizz and Lux and even like Echo and Evelyn. I've been taking more damage from their items than I've been taking from their actual kits and scalings. It's ridiculous. But still, I am hopeful for this season personally. Maybe I am just on hopium or copium or a mix of both. But I don't think it's going to be the worst thing in the world, at least not what some people are making it out to be. A couple balance changes here and there, and I think we might actually be on a bit of a golden road to a much better era for League. But anyway, tell me yourselves, what do you think about all these changes? Do you like these new items? Do you despise these new items? Are you modding about the jungle changes? Let me know yourselves. And if you're still here, sure look, drop a like, sub, all the other YouTube stuff, and I'll talk to you next time, lads.